Hello again, my DIY living friends, and welcome to Medicated Housewife DIY, where crafting and mental health come together. Are you ready to transform your space this fall with high-end Halloween decor? Well, let's create fall-themed skulls using Dollar Tree finds. We'll bring the essence of fall and Halloween together in style. Elevate your space with budget-friendly and creative upscale DIY ideas for a spooktacular season. So what are you waiting for? Let's go DIY together. This first DIY is super simple. I'm using this plastic skull from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to spray paint it with Rust-Oleum metallic copper or rose gold color, which I will link for you in the description box below. Once the skull has dried, I made a mixture of apple barrel matte black paint mixed with Waverly clear wax, both of which I will link for you below, and using a small rough dry brush, I'm going to brush that black colored wax into all the naturally recessed areas of the skull, starting with those eye sockets. I'm really just pushing the wax on and kind of rubbing it around with a baby wipe. It is not an exact science, and you can really go as heavy or as light with the black as you want to. I'm just trying to get a distressed metal effect, like this rose gold skull has been through some stuff, if you know what I mean. I want it to look tarnished, maybe even a little dirty or scratched, so I do end up going heavier in all those indented areas. I grabbed a tiny dry brush to do the spaces between the teeth. I guess those would be the gums if we're gonna get technical. And I pushed that black wax around the teeth and the jawline, also using that same thin brush to get into the recessed cracks around the sides and the base of that skull as well. I used the larger brush to spread out the wax to extend past those recessed cracks, and I kind of lightly blend it over the other parts of the skull as well so that the distressed effect is visible on the whole skull. And by adding that wax to the paint, it's just going to extend the dry time, and it gives you a lot more flexibility in moving and blending that black paint. And that's all there is to this regal looking distressed rose gold skull. I love the way this skull looks. It looks just like aged metal, and I really love how simple it is to make something that looks this upscale out of a plastic skull. This next DIY is from an older video, but it is definitely one of my favorite projects, so you'll have to overlook some of the video coloring and speed issues. I started with another Dollar Tree plastic skull, which I have already painted with some Rust-Oleum paint and primer in a flat white color, which I will link for you below. And after I painted it, I taped off the teeth because I wasn't sure what I was going to end up doing with the teeth, so I just taped them to be safe. We're using some alcohol ink for this. I am using Tim Holtz alcohol ink in 3 different colors. There's sepia, latte, and caramel, and I will link those for you below. The alcohol inks are one of my favorite ways to get a faux wood finish on practically anything. So I use them in a lot of my videos. They make a really beautiful wood finish, and they're almost goof proof, so I highly recommend them. We're also using a small little cup of 91% alcohol, which I will link for you below, and that's what we're going to use with the inks. Similar concept to watercolor paint, the alcohol is like the water. So using a cheap set of makeup brushes, we're going to wet the brushes with the alcohol before adding the ink, and then we're going to start spreading our first color, which is the latte, all around the entire skull, just sort of getting some color on there and moving it around with the brush. And we want to just get the entire skull covered first. These inks are very buildable, and you just keep adding more and more drops of ink, spreading them around until you get the shades that you're looking for. And you can see from the video that the brush and the ink themselves pretty much start to form lines and shapes that start to look very wood-like, like wood grain, all on their own. That's what I mean by goof-proof. The ink dries super quick, and then I went in with a darker color, which is the caramel, and I just keep doing more of the same, pushing the ink around and using different types of brushes to get different wood grain effects. Everything is trial and error, and if you mess up, just a little bit of the 91% alcohol will clear that color away really easily. Then I take a smaller brush and the darkest color, which was the sepia, and I use that in all those recesses of the skull, like the eye sockets and the nose hole and those cracks in the base and the side of the skull. Super easy to get a really, really beautiful effect. And when I took the tape off the teeth, they were ridiculously white. So I grabbed some latte ink and a small brush and just applied layer after layer of the yellowish brown color latte until those teeth started to look like old, decayed, well, wooden teeth. And this is my wooden skull, and I still love this skull and display it every Halloween proudly. I also get a ton of compliments on it, and no one guesses that this is a Dollar Tree plastic skull. These are my favorite kinds of DIYs, just total transformation. This next DIY starts with this metallic plastic bowl from Dollar Tree Plus, and I'm going to spray paint it with Rust-Oleum Flat Black paint, which I will link for you below. I just love the detail of this bowl, but I hate that metallic silver color, so we're going to change that. While the black paint dries, I had a ton of these acrylic ice gems in my stash, but I will link something similar for you below. I wanted to make them black. So the easiest way to do that is to pile them into a plastic cup. I use some drops of my Tim Holtz Pitch Black alcohol ink, which I will link for you below. And I just drop some ink in with the gems, stir them around with a popsicle stick for a bit, and then I'm going to pour them out onto a paper towel to dry. And the first batch that I did was a little too many gems and just not enough ink, so I did have to restain some of them a second time. I made a bunch of the larger gems black, and then I took a handful of the smaller size gems and I dyed them black as well, and I set them all out on a paper towel to fully dry. I use hot glue to attach my multi-sized gems to the black skull bowl, and I want to make like a wavy, uneven, assorted sized line going from the top of the bowl down to the bottom of the bowl, kind of like a monotoned geode, if that makes any sense. Like these jewels just organically grew onto the bowl. I know it's a stretch, but that was my vision. So I glued them down one by one, making sure not to fully cover up the face of the skull and to still be able to see a big jewel encrusted formation growing out of the side of it. I also built up the gems toward the top lip of that bowl so that they kind of overlapped the bowl edge. And this is a really customized, personalized, kind of freeform thing. You place the gems wherever you want to put them. And off camera, I took one of these white bird ornaments from Dollar Tree and I used the black spray paint to paint it black just to accessorize the edge of my bowl. And I know it's crazy, but I really do love this jeweled skull bowl. It's a little on the spooky side, but I think it has an upscale feel to it. I love it as a planter or even as a candy dish or something like that. A true high-end Halloween decor item, in my opinion. Another blast from the past. This is an older video of a TikTok trend for Halloween, and if there is one thing I've learned from this, it's that my camera and editing skills have improved since then. So bear with me on this one. Try not to get too dizzy. I bring a large pot of water to a very rapid boil, and this is not a pot I use for food. It's usually for tie-dyeing and stuff like that. Once it boils, I turn off the heat and I start to stir in vast amounts of borax. Yes, the kind that you get at the supermarket, but I will throw a link for it below anyway. And for this large pot, I ended up stirring in an entire box of borax plus 2 extra cups from a second box. And I am stirring them in 1 cup at a time until the water looks clear and it is no longer cloudy. Next, I take a Dollar Tree skull that I have filled with those little white rocks, also from Dollar Tree, to weigh it down, and I gently place it in the borax water, letting the inside fill up with the water so that it will stay flat at the bottom of the pot. Once the skull is placed at the bottom, I'm going to leave it in the pot with the cover over it. They say from 24 hours on. I think I left it for 36 before removing it. And this is my Borax crystal skull, and this was the result after 36 hours. Not bad. It's a lot sparklier in person than the camera shows, and I would like to try it again, maybe for longer, like 48 or 72 hours even, just to see what would happen. And you know the drill. I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments which one of these Dollar Tree high-end Halloween decor DIYs was your favorite and why. I love hearing from all of you. And if you've enjoyed this DIY video, there's another one waiting for you. Just click the link on your screen for more Medicated Housewife DIYs. Thanks for watching, and until next time, my name is Sarah. I'm the Medicated Housewife, and crafting is my medication.